What is money? If I bumped into you on the side of the street and I asked you that question, what would you say? Would you know what the characteristics are of money, what the different forms are, how money came about, why we even use money? Money is this elusive and unknown topic that all of us use every single day to, pay for the things we need to live, but actually understanding what money truly is seems to be something that not many people know. So my goal with this video is to go through what money is and to tell you the truths and the facts behind money. So we're going to go over the origin of money, the functions of money, the truth about money, and practical money truths to live by today. Now, the first is the origin of money. Before we have money like we know it today, we had the barter system going back thousands of years where you would trade what you had for what you needed. So if you were a blacksmith and you created tools, you would go ahead and trade those for grain or for livestock and any other products that you may have needed. But the problem with this is you experience the double coincidence of wants, which is essentially where, what if the blacksmith who has his tools doesn't want to buy the man's fish, let's say, but he really needs something else? And you end up in a scenario where he can't be able to get the product that he needs. And so to solve this problem throughout history, we began to see different forms of money in the way of things like salt and shells, and then eventually moved to precious metals like gold, silver, and copper coins. Think to the Roman Empire. This was very popular, and when it sort of took off mainstream, if you will. And this system worked and was actually used right up until recent times. But the money that we have today isn't like precious metals or gold and silver. Back in 1971, we had the currency, let's say the US dollar, which was backed by gold, a reserve of physical gold. But after 1971, that was removed. And so in this day and age, we have what we call fiat currency, which is just the money that we use today, which is the US dollar or the Australian dollar or the euro, which isn't actually backed by anything. Now let's go through the three functions of money. First, we have it being a medium of exchange. Money simplifies transactions in our economy. The second is money acts as a unit of account, which provides a consistent way to measure the value of what we create. And the third is a store of value, which allows money to retain its purchasing power over time. Now, the caveat with the point 3 there is as long as it's not eroded away by inflation. And I'll touch on inflation in the next little bit. But the key point here is it's a store of value for the near term, not the long term. But even in the near term, if you're from a country with less developed economy, you can have currencies that experience hyperinflation. So things like the Zimbabwe dollar or the Venezuelan peso, you experience hyperinflation where the money is losing value at such a rapid pace that you want to get rid of currency as soon as you receive it. Now, in the Western world and a lot of the developed countries, we don't have hyperinflation, nowhere close to that, thankfully. But that's something to keep in mind that it has happened in history, and so it's important to remember. Next, we're going to talk about the truth about money. Now, the first point here is money is an idea, not a thing. Money itself actually has no intrinsic value. And a lot of people, and maybe yourself included, when you hear the word money, you get annoyed or you have a negative emotional reaction. And unfortunately, this doesn't do you any favors when it comes to growing your wealth, making money, and creating value. Money is simply just a thing. A $100 bill, a $100 note is just $100, which is a denomination and a value that we've all collectively assigned and said that it's worth something. And that's all it is. So the key here is to be indifferent about money and to not get emotional towards it. The second is money is a tool, not the goal. Many people think money itself is the end game, but it's just a means to an end. Now, that means to an end for you might be freedom or security. It might be providing economic opportunity for your children. Maybe it's retiring early, but it's really important to understand that it's simply just a tool. It's not the end goal. The end goal is not to just accumulate cash or accumulate money. It's what that tool, what the money can give you in your life. And the third is money loses value over time. This is where I mentioned before, we'll talk about inflation, which erodes money over the long term. In the Western world, especially where I'm from, in Australia, the Reserve Bank, or for those in the US, the Federal Reserve, our equivalent, has a target inflation of between 2 and 3%. And so essentially, the bank of all banks, which is the Reserve Bank, is saying that your money will be devalued or go down in value between 2 and 3% every single year. And so even though money is a store of value, you can make an argument to not holding cash for the long term over 5, 10, 20, 30 years and so on, because it's only going to go down in value. And so of course, to avoid that, you can do other things to protect your money, like invest it, which we'll go over in future videos. But this is a truth about money that is important to understand and keep in mind. So the final section for this video is we're going to go over the practical truths to live by when it comes to money in today's economy. So the first is spend less than you earn. This is as old as time and is common sense, but as I'm sure you might be aware, common sense is not so much common anymore. And living by this basic truth and spending less than you earn will allow you to have surplus income, surplus savings to go ahead and take risk, invest, start a business, whatever it might be, to grow your wealth and grow your economic opportunity for you and your family. The second is invest early and often. Compound interest is the most powerful force in finance. An example of this is investing $200 a month. If you start at the age of 25 through to retirement, just getting standard investment market returns, that can turn into $1 million. And so if you invest $400 a month, we double that, 2 million, if not a little bit more, you get the idea. And so understanding that compound interest is extremely powerful, and the sooner you start, the better, is key to financial success. The third is to avoid lifestyle inflation. As your income increases, resist the urge to upgrade everything. The key here is to save and invest the difference as your income increases. As you go through your career and as you get older with more experience and you develop more skills and you become more valuable in your workplace or the business that you work for, you'll be able to earn more money. And the key here is to not upgrade the car, move to the nicer suburb and buy fancier things and always upgrade the new iPhone. The key is to save the difference and live below your means as much as possible. A key lesson that we see many people around us all the time not take into consideration and go ahead and get the bonus and get the pay rise, enjoy the nicer things. And if you can postpone that satisfaction and have a bit of discipline, that'll serve you well in the years to come. And the fourth and final thing is to protect yourself. Build an emergency fund. 3 to 6 months is typical. And this allows you to be able to take risks, reduces your financial stress. You can sleep at night knowing that if you lose your job, you have time to go find another job. Or if you have to move, you can move. The landlord doesn't renew the rental lease, it's okay. You've got spare money to move into a new place. And so making sure that you protect yourself by having an emergency fund, which allows you to protect yourself from things that will happen. You won't know exactly what will come up, but something will. And it happens to all of us. And if you're young enough and you are saying things happen to me, I'm not going to have any emergencies, and you're naive in that way, the time will come and you'll understand. But it's definitely important to have an emergency fund. And to conclude this video, here's a closing thought. Money is not just a tool. It's a reflection of you, your values, habits, and mindset. Money is simply a store of value that you have to create. If you create more value, you'll have more money. However, creating value is the hard part. Understanding what money truly is and what it isn't will help you build more and build a secure and fulfilling future for your family. I hope you enjoyed this video. Be sure to subscribe if you did, and I'll see you in the next one.